Pete's gone. I'm suddenly in charge of the racially charged accents. It's like it's a lot of responsibility, you know? I don't know what to do.
Hello and welcome to the Lore Boys, the number one fake history podcast on the internet. My name is James R.J. Miller. Who else is here today?
Oh shit, I'm getting so big. I'm expansing. Oh, I'm Ethan.
Yep. So this one wasn't requested, but it is a topic that I've seen in the Discord. People have been asking to hear more about Pete's mom, so we're covering the Expanse.
Nice.
He's not even here to defend himself. So
True. Dumbass got killed autoerotic asphyxiating. Can you believe it?
Yeah. So no one's actually asked for this directly in the request, but I've seen people chattering about it. Ort told me to read it. Chud is very excited for the Owlcat game coming out, and our very own Ethan the Lore Boy threw his weight in to tell me to read it.
Yeah, I don't remember telling you to read it, but I'm glad I did. I think it's a good little series.
Absolutely. I won't be covering much about the actual stories in the books, but we're going to talk about like the state of the world, kind of the different factions that are going on, some of the technology. So if you want to enjoy the books or show on your own time, don't worry about it. We'll just help you build the world around it, so you know what.
Yeah, this should just get you excited. If anything, can I ask? Up to what point did you base it off of your book knowledge, or did you look up future states? Because the world does change quite a bit, I guess. But
I said it as at the beginning of the books, like what is the geopolitical landscape of everything? Because like the title suggests, the world really does expand. The farther you read, it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. They said space couldn't get any bigger. Then they met Pete's mom.
I love that he's not here to defend himself. Yeah, I just got to the end of book 4, starting book 5, where at the beginning of book 1, the Outer Planet Alliance, which we'll talk about later, is pretty disorganized, doesn't have a lot of power, but at where I'm at now, they're starting to really get a foothold in something important in the story and things like that. So the things will change, but I'm looking forward to finishing book 6 so I can watch the show, because the show goes right up till season 6, which is book 6.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Owlcat game is in development. The Expanse of Cyrus Reborn looks awesome. An action RPG, third person. No release date, just says coming soon, but the trailer looks sick.
Obviously not, but I'll ask it anyway. There's not like we don't know when Osiris Reborn is going to be set, do we? Is it going to follow the story of the game?
So you get to choose if you're an Earther, a Martian, or a Belter. We know that. We know that you're going to be like a Pinkwater investigator or something. So you're probably going to be in the series like Detective Miller is.
Yeah, it looks like you're gonna follow the story of the books, because it says what begins as a brief sojourn on the asteroid Eros reluctantly entangles you in a soul, which the Eros is heavily featured in the first book.
Yes, and it's not around in the second book anymore, so it must be first book.
It is, but in a weird way. So so I'm gonna guess that you don't play as Holden and crew, but presumably as other people during the same time.
Cool. So Ethan, you started reading this before me. Like, how far along are you in the series? What's your experience with it?
I'm halfway through book 8. I have it right here. I'll tell you what page I'm on. Okay.
Nice.
I'm on chapter 23, page 231. There you go. It's a Naomi chapter.
Nice. Yeah, the books are a lot like some other like fantasy books like Game of Thrones or something, where every chapter is just the title of the character you'll be seeing through the eyes of for that chapter.
It was kind of weird to me. So I've gone through periods of my life where I've read a lot, I have like slump periods where I read less.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, I read fantasy, and then I spent some time reading like American classical literature, we'll call it, right? Like Steinbeck and Hemingway and like all this, like other things like that, some contemporary. Um, and my wife has gone on a tear reading recently in the last 8 months, 10 months. And it's so funny because like the books that she reads sometimes she's always like, yeah, there was, I like, this book was crazy, there was like three different characters whose point of views I had to follow, and not in a way that's like, oh, it's too crazy, it's too hard to follow, but just like, oh, that's something that I'd never seen before. And it like, I was reading David Gemmell when I was like 11, I think, was when
Yeah.
I first got The Rise of Deathwalker, right? So um it's just always like, it's always been a norm for me following different points of view like outside of children's literature.
Right.
And then I always just assume like, oh, like the classics, I guess, are written like that because they're old. But I guess not. I guess that's just like, there's a good swath of books that are just written like that. And I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know how you do it as a writer. How do you come up with that many things to happen to one person? You know?
Yeah. I guess you can go from like main character perspective. You can also just go like omnipotent narrator. So you just tell everyone how it is for every character. And yeah, I was thinking a bit about that today too. Um, yeah, our authors. So it says that the book is written by James S.A. Corey, right? It's a space opera, science fiction novels, written by James S.A. Corey, but that's not a real guy. That
No,
is
it's two
two
people.
guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
What the heck?
Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank.
Dan and Ty in a trench coat, huh?
Yep. And you might know Daniel Abraham's work if you're a fan. There's the Long Price Quartet is one of his books, or the Dagger and Coin fantasy series is what he's known for.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Aside from The Expanse, Ty Frank, the other author, is known for the Game of Thrones Telltale game. He actually wrote on that, which I played through and I really enjoyed that. You
Oh, yeah?
have like another house outside of the Lannisters, the Starks, everything, like a fictional house that's not in the books. And you have to play through kind of like a parallel story that's going on while Game of Thrones is happening. Like the Red Wedding's happening, the wars against the Starks are happening. All these things are happening, and you're kind of there, but you're just like next to it,
Doing your
experiencing
own
your
thing,
own
yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very well done.
It's like it's as though in a fantasy book there was just an additional like series of chapters talking about this other house, right? Because I haven't read
Yeah,
Game of Thrones or the Game of Thrones books, but I assume that that's how it goes, right?
yeah.
Didn't they meet working for George R. R. Martin?
Both of them have strong connections to George R. R. Martin. So that's my very next point, and I'm glad you knew that.
There we go.
Yeah.
I did know that, and I think it's funny because they always have on all of their books. Maybe not on this one, actually. Maybe this. Oh no, never mind. They have it on the front on this one, but they always have a quote, the same quote from George R. R. Martin on their books, which is "Interplanetary adventure the way it ought to be written." And I
Yep.
was like, yeah, well, like, you know them, George. Like,
Yeah.
of course you're gonna give them a good review. Like, they
Ty
they wrote
Frank
they wrote your books for you.
Ty Frank was a personal assistant to George R. R. Martin. Like they had a very
Yeah.
close relationship. Abraham collaborated with him. They wrote Hunter's Run together in 2007.
Okay.
He converted some of Martin's works to graphic novels. They're they're in the industry and closely tied to George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
they
two people
both
writing a book. Can you imagine? Do you think one of them does the right hand and one of them does the left hand? How do they
yeah,
do it?
exactly.
Do you think one guy's just sitting on the other guy's lap and just tapping the space bar every time they need to do a space?
Or one guy just like reads it aloud like a written letter, and the other guy types it. He's just
Oh yeah, one guy's dictating, the other guy's
the scribe.
typing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. They both wrote under the same name, James S.A. Corey. They wrote a Star Wars novel, Honor Among Thieves. So that's another mention of Star Wars episode, and this time in a space themed episode. So we're getting closer, folks.
Damn, dude. That's basically a whole Star Wars ass episode. Where do you think
Yeah,
the term honor among thieves originated?
probably from thieves.
From thieves themselves?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think because that's the whole idea, right? Is that like, yeah, we steal stuff, but we got a code, right? It's an Assassin's Creed.
Okay, sure. Apparently, it was Cicero of ancient
Who's
Rome.
that? What did he do?
An orator. He was an orator and politician in ancient Rome. In
Pretty
Don
cool.
Quixote, the old proverb still holds good. Thieves are never rogues amongst themselves. So there you go. Don Quixote had it at least.
Yep. So that's enough about the authors. Let's get into the world of The Expanse. So it is written as a space opera. There's some very like memorable characters. It mostly follows James Holden and his crew of ragtag individuals.
Speaking of
And
Don Quixote, the crew of the Rocinante, right? Name of
yep,
Don Quixote's horse.
that's what that is.
I think
I
it's
didn't
his
know.
horse. It's from Don Quixote. I know that. They say it in the books. That's the only reason I know
Right. I can never pronounce that that ship right. I always call it like the Rocket Can't.
it. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. You know what I mean? Maybe you might be right. It is his horse, and let me look up a quick pronunciation just to lay to rest. Who's right?
It's
Jamie or
for
Jamie
sure
Ethan?
Rocinante. It's not spelled any way like I say it.
It is Rocinante, but I said Rocinante, so
Oh,
I meet in the middle. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Rosinant. It's my
Another
rosé drinking aunt.
Another one I can never say is there. You follow a politician, like she's a main character. Her name's
Yeah,
Christian
Avasarala.
Avasalara.
Avasarala.
Sarala. I say Salara,
I
but
think it's
that's totally
Avasarala.
wrong. Yeah,
Let me look it up. Yeah, Avasarala.
yeah. I have some tough times with the names.
Yeah, see, the thing is, when I read, I look at the letters and figure out what they say, and then internalize that.
I just look at it and I'm like, I'm reading. I'll never need to say this out loud, and I've been proven wrong. But
You
I
proved
understand.
yourself wrong choosing this episode, I
Yeah.
guess.
But while I'm reading, I'm like, I know what that word is supposed to mean in the context of the story. I don't gotta sweat the small stuff. Let's just move on. You know?
And you're right. Who cares? It's
Yep.
Rochemont.
His Rocket Canty.
Rocky Canty from here on out.
Yeah. So yeah, the series, it's not super clear in the first book. We kind of have to do some triangulating of other dates that they give you throughout time, but we can say pretty confidently that it is close to 2350. So about 325 years into the future from now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I think.
Yeah.
Right?
About.
Feels
It
good.
seems space travel's a thing at this point when the series starts, but just locally in our solar system.
Space living is a thing, not just travel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're out there. And humanity is split into, we start the story with it being split into three major factions. And that'll pretty much be what we cover this episode, which is Earth, Mars, and the Belters, or the Outer Planets, or Outer Planet Alliance. They have a few different names, but it's just people living outside of Earth and Mars on the fringe of the galaxy kind of thing.
Yeah, outside of the
Or the
asteroid
solar
belt,
system.
outside of the asteroid belt. That's hence the name Belters.
Yep. But we will start with our very own home, the one we know and love right now, Earth.
Okay.
And in this crazy fantasy universe, Earth is mostly unified under one government, the UN, if you can believe that.
Yeah, I know. I think it is. I understand like it's the conceit of the story. They have to do it. But the idea that we get up to like, I think it's like 30 billion people or something like that.
30,
like at some point it's said, the idea that like we're more unified when we get to that number is like a little, you got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I've said it on a past episode too, when we were complaining about like AI. I think it might've been Mass Effect, but like talking about the Geth and saying, like, there's no AI, there's no smart computers in this, like even computers to our level in this, and it's never explained, and that's fine. It's a conceit of the novel that you have to accept to just like read the story, which I think the same thing for this 30 billion people all living in peace and harmony on Earth at the same time. Well, maybe not peace and harmony, because we do go there at some point.
Yeah. And there is, in the second book, I did find a quote. I didn't write it down, but it's something like, the UN is not one person. It's not even one corporation. It's a million people fighting for their self-interest. And then And that's from Avasalara, as I call her, or Avasalrala, which she actually is. Um, and she's trying. Her whole thing is like she wants peace in the solar system, and she's just trying to do that by any means necessary. She's kind of very abrasive. People don't generally like her who run into her unless they need something from her, but she does what she needs to make sure there's still peace.
Yeah, her archetype is like a puppet master, right? Where like there's the
Yeah.
head of the UN and she's like his main advisor, basically. And so she just like, but she works not in the public eye.
Yep. So the reason why, I guess the reason they give us for the UN even being like the main government, for us not having these splits across countries in the world, is that there's some type of ecological collapse. Global warming went too far. There was some type of thing that happened where the ice caps start melting, sea levels are rising, humanity's displaced, and there's going to be an extinction event coming. So they had to do something. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm not sure I even remembered that detail, honestly, about it, like being the formation of it. I remember like
Yeah.
how they live now, I guess, under the UN, but not how it's formed.
Yeah, they give us a lot of info on that. Like there was from Ty Frank, he went off on Twitter a little bit more saying about that there was this ecological collapse and everything. There's hints
Oh,
to
okay.
it, but there's not a lot of source
Gotcha.
material on that.
I don't use X, the everything app.
Yeah, me neither. I just found it when I was looking it up. But yeah, so there's still, like I said, still factions and conflict within the UN. But Earth is still a very strong faction, but it's on a downwards trend. Like Ethan mentioned, there's 30 million people there, 30 billion people. And there's even
Yeah,
laws against.
a little bit more than the population of Canada 30 years ago. There's about 30 million people living on Earth. It was quite the ecological collapse, let me tell you. And most people said, "Let's get out of here. Let's go to space."
Yep.
Huh? Earth sucks.
Yep. There's way too many people. There's not enough jobs. Half the population lives on a type of welfare that they refer to as basic. So if you're
Yeah.
living on basic, you just get enough food to survive, a box to live in, but you don't have like money to go and get like a coffee at Starbucks. You don't have money to like go see a movie. You just have exactly what you need to live and like no independence basically.
Yeah, it's like I think you have it's no independence like you are on the government's teat. It's interesting you say that because my understanding was like, oh yeah, you have like some discretionary income or whatever, but like no purpose, right? Like is the
Right.
idea? It's the work is good. Actually, it's really good to work is kind of one of the things that they talk about a lot in the book. Which again, my interpretation is it's a conceit of the book to say like, why are these people working when
Yeah.
we have all these systems in place? But like you go to university basically, or you go to like post-secondary education, and it's just like a test to see like, can you work? And if you can't
Yeah.
work, they say, okay, you don't get to have a job because jobs are limited, and we want
Yeah.
people who are good at jobs and want jobs to have jobs, and everyone else, you guys can go on basic basically. So you like
You
flunk
reminded
out.
me of
Yeah.
something. Yeah, you reminded me that in book 2, a lovable character named Bobby, who is just like a 6-foot beast of a woman, um, and she goes to get a coffee, and there's someone working there as an intern for a year, just brewing coffee as an entrance to get into university,
Right.
because only people who can make coffee for people for a year are allowed to go to the next steps because they don't want to spend the resources on someone who would just go back to living in their shoebox for free.
Yeah, you're not allowed human rights unless you've worked in the service industry for at least a year. Is the moral of the moral of the Expanse books. Which I've never worked I've never worked in customer anything. So I never
Yeah.
worked in service. So I don't deserve human rights. I don't
I
tip.
think
Just saying.
as someone who's worked in service like since I was probably 15, I started as a busboy. Uh until now I still work in customer service in some degree.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like everyone should just like at least be exposed to that because it makes you like treat people better. Not that you treat people poorly, but there's certain people who just see these people as servants, and it's not.
No,
It's
I turned out fine. Like I said, I don't tip. Obviously, I'm not going to pick up my like if I go to McDonald's, I'm not going to pick my garbage up off the table because I'm creating jobs. I'm creating the need for jobs for people
right.
to be there and make their salary. And when I go to work, I've never worked service. Like I said, I always worked manual labor jobs until I got this job I have now, which is a desk job.
Mhm.
And like I would go to work and I would get my pay and I would go home. No one would tip me, so why would I tip them? They get their
True.
salary picking up my garbage. I think it's a good system that we have here. I'm famously on record saying I think our current system is good and needs no adjustment. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
And now you're telling me the future in 225 years we've got socialism? Great. Huh? Fucking
325. You
great.
got an extra 100. Yeah.
Oh, phew. Dodged it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll just wait until the oceans are on our front step before we change anything about our country. And then that'll
Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, it's my daughter's problem. I don't need to worry about it.
she won't live to 325 probably. It
Who
won't
knows?
even be her problem. Yeah.
In the,
Yeah, maybe.
so in the Expanse, it is canon that lifespans are much longer, right? I don't know if you're going
Mhm.
to touch on that at any point, but people live to 150, 160, pretty regs.
Yep. Yeah, so despite all its flaws, Earth is still our home. Exceptionally in our solar system, like you can grow plants like without a lot of trouble. There's a lot in the third book, a lot of talk about there's a guy who his whole job is trying to grow plants on Ganymede, and there's like
Yeah.
chain reactions of things that like your air filters being a little bit off could start a bacteria, which like small things could just completely ruin life, especially out in
Yeah.
space.
Delicate ecosystems, right? When they're so contained
Yeah.
and so relatively small.
Yeah.
Prexidan Meng, I think his name was.
Yeah,
But he's one of
Praxidike.
Prexidike. He's one of
Yeah.
the POV characters in that book. So one of the people you follow is this botanist living on Ganymede, right?
Yep. Yeah, and his expertise in plants like ends up being useful in other places for Jim Holden and his crew, but you can read the books to catch up on that. Yeah, so we can grow plants, you can breed animals easily. That's something like I just read a passage where Amos, I think he's my favorite character.
He's
He
up there.
Yeah, he brings Indian food that contains real chicken when they stop in at a space station.
Yeah. Such a
And
luxury.
yeah, the pilot Alex was like, "Whoa, you're splurging, man! You got real chicken for us." And they all dig in, and it made me
Yeah,
want Indian food.
because they eat lab grown meat typically is
Yeah.
like how like in the belt. So most I guess not to spoil the books, but most of the books take place in the belt. Like there are scenes on Earth, there's scenes on Mars,
Mhm.
there's scenes on other planetary bodies like Ganymede and Eros and all that. But
Yep.
most of it takes place like in the belt, which is like more hostile, more like belter territory. And they eat like red kibble is described as like one of their like a staple food of like belter culture. And I know we're not at the belters
Yeah.
yet. We're going to talk about them, but
Yep.
yeah, I think it's very interesting that they developed like their own. It makes sense, right? If they've been out there for 150, 200 years, like they would have developed their own culture, so they would have developed their own foods based on like the lab grown meat that they get rather than real chicken. Because I think when Amos gets the real chicken,
Mhm.
like it's a luxury for Naomi, who's the character who's from the belt, like she's the character born of the
Yep.
belt. It's a novelty to her, but also like I think, man, I'm probably misremembering, but I feel like I remember her saying like, "Oh, but it's not quite red kibble. It's not quite like belter food. Like this is
Okay.
Earth food, real chicken. It's a luxury for people who are from Earth and people who are from Mars because their cultures remember this, but my culture doesn't remember it.
Right. There's a few scenes where they get like they splurge on real meat.
Mhm.
The one that I was remembering, it's the pilot Alex who comments on it.
Yeah,
Because and he's a Martian. He's an Indian man. Well, he is like Indian racially, but he
Mhm.
speaks like a Texan because the East Indians, Chinese, and Texans all settled on Mars.
Mars.
So you get like these interesting accents and stuff.
The
Like it,
Mariner Valley drawl, as they call it in the books. Right?
yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Well,
Earth.
pass me that there aloo gobi, would you? I sure could go for some paneer culture, huh? Huh? Honestly, honestly. I don't know. That might be like a foghorn leghorn. Now I got going there. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Dude, it's real chicken.
Pete's gone. I'm suddenly in charge of the racially charged accents. It's like it's a lot of responsibility, you know. I don't know what to do.
So Earth is the only place where these things can be reliably farmed, and a huge thing on Earth that in the solar system, it's the only place that has a breathable atmosphere. Like to be able to open your front door and just breathe the air.
Yeah,
That is huge.
I mean, described
Uh,
as a luxury, right? Like constantly. And then to some of the characters, particularly like the outer planet characters, like alien in its own way, right? Because they're third, fourth, fifth generation outer planet, and like their physiology has changed, which I assume we're going
yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they couldn't go to Earth because the gravity is too
Yeah.
intense, and their bodies and their bones just would never be able to support their bodies. So,
I saw a
um,
small clip from the show, and they have a belter in a gravity well, and he's almost like a torture chamber in jail. They just have two hooks on the wall, and they have his armpits. Like they're not through his skin or anything, but he's just hung up on the wall, and the gravity is so strong within the gravity well that he can't lift himself up and stand on his feet. So he's just stuck on the wall on those hooks.
yeah,
Uh, it's
it's a it's
brutal.
it's a big thing, and I know I'm jumping all over here. I'm jumping all over your script, but
No, it's good.
I know that there's sometimes tension between different factions, the three factions that we're going to talk about, right? And the Belters specifically are just not suited for like most of them, like some of them were born on a ship, not even a station, born on a ship and like live on a ship their entire lives,
Yep.
and would like sometimes visit stations, but like in uh in high speed chases in the system in space, like you're subject to G forces, right? And they're
Yeah.
less able to sustain high G burns just because of their physiology, right? Because the same thing, it's like it's fake gravity. It's the same thing,
Right.
if the same feeling as gravity. So they can't handle like full G burns for a long time. Even though for us that would just be like on Earth, that'd be like normal, right?
Yep. Yep. Some of them who do travel a lot in ships actually recover faster than the Earth and Mars people because they're so used to just 1G always.
Okay.
But the Belters are used to the spikes. So some of them are who travel a lot do bounce back faster, like Naomi. Um, but Naomi also goes down to a planet at one point, is like, gives a hug to Jim Holden, her boyfriend, and is like, just keep hugging me because I need the pressure off my. It's like I cannot walk on a planet.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we're still with Earth, and it's bloated, it's bureaucratic, it's overpopulated. So 30% of the output of Earth, what they're constantly working on, is to keep recycling systems running to quote keep the population from drowning in its own filth. So 1/3 of all effort is just to not drown in their own filth, which
We
is
could
pretty
use a
crazy.
little bit more. And we're not doing. I'm not saying we shoot for 30, but we could use a little bit more of that, right? Like
Yeah,
we should be shooting for higher than what we're shooting for right now. I think in terms
yeah,
of like global output, right?
yeah,
And I'm not saying I'm doing my part. Okay, I compost at home, but that's about fucking it. You know what I mean? I don't separate my recycling, and I know that recycling is just a scam invented by big plastic to make you buy more plastic. So
yep. Another thing that they do is there's tax incentives for having fewer children or having shared
yeah,
children. The main character, Jim Holden, I think has like 4 moms and 5 dads or something, and they're
yeah.
all.
He's got like 8 parents or 9 parents, something like
I
that. Yeah,
forget the split on it, but just know that there's many, and they grew up in
Montana,
Montana,
on a farm in
and
Montana.
they have the tech to give equal amounts of the genetic material from all parents. So he is raised by like a commune of parents, and he is equally a part of all of them, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, I think most modern estimates put us capping out nowhere near 30 billion. Like most modern estimates do say, like, we're not going to, overpopulation is not really the problem that we thought it was. Like, there's a very real argument to be made that we're currently overpopulated. And that's why we're all drowning in our own filth because we're
Yeah.
producing too much of it more of it than we can get rid of at the same time. But again, I think if we just put our effort into that, then things would be better for us.
Right. Well, there's that guy who like put out a paper ages ago where he's like, food is only like scales with how much land you have, right? It's additive, but population is exponential. So there's going to be a point where it caps out.
I think it was called the population bomb,
something like that.
Yeah, 1968 book. Paul Ehrlich, that was it. But he went on like a lot of tours talking about like how dire things were going to get for us. And now most modern research is like, oh no, we're gonna be fine in that department, because it turns out when you give people access to like better, cleaner living, they don't have so many kids.
Yeah.
Most people have just a more stable life, and they don't have to like bet on one kid getting rich to take care of them when they can't work anymore. They kind of go like, oh, I want to actually live my life rather than just be a forever caretaker of children.
There's been breakthroughs on growing plants too. Dyson actually, in like making
the
like
vacuum guy?
The vacuum people figured out how to do vertical plant. Like, so originally they
okay. Well, I'm just picturing like having a little dandelion and then a vacuum over top of it to suck the plant up and make it grow tall, right?
How to scale indoor plant growing. So it's used to be that they would do things like basically like a bookshelf, right? You grow a plant, you have a light above on every shelf, and you stack that up in a warehouse. But the problem is that the energy costs for all the lights, for the facility, for everything is always too prohibitive, because if you just grow outside, the sun is free, dog. It's right out there. So
wait, what do you mean? No, you got a sun guy that comes by though and collects for your sun usage, right?
Yeah, right? Solar power charges.
Let me tell you, with the lack of rain this year, I've been getting bent over the barrel by my sun guy. All right. He comes in a big sun costume. He's always drinking a Capri Sun whenever he shows up. He's always wearing sunglasses. And I'm like, bro, you're the sun. You don't need the sunglasses. But yeah, whatever, man.
So the sun guy, he's still cheaper than the light guy. Because whenever you stack them all up, you have to have basically like just layers of plants with plant, light, shelf, plant, light, shelf, plant, light, shelf. And then it goes all the way up. Uh-huh. But Dyson figured out you make like a greenhouse where you have like a window. You have a window on the top where you can use the sun, and you don't make them like shelves. You make them basically posts. And on the posts, like the poles, the plants grow to the side of the poles.
Okay.
And you use the real sun, and it spins like, I guess, the inside of a vacuum. So plants get all the right. So Dyson, and this is a new thing.
Dyson built a spinning pole, is what we're saying here. Let's not give him too much credit. That's all I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is you first said you have glass, and I was like, okay, this sounds like a greenhouse. Then you said like a greenhouse, and so we're agreed that it is a greenhouse. So none of that is Dyson's invention, right? He's just saying a better way to stack plants.
You can stack them real high and grow them real efficient now, thanks to Dyson.
Thank you. Anyway. Thank you, Mr. Dyson.
But you can only do this on Earth, because there's the only place where we have the atmosphere and the sun that's mostly free.
Well, you can do it on, if it's just a greenhouse, you can make a hermetically sealed greenhouse, right?
But it's a lot more challenging.
Sun's too far. Sun too far for the other places.
Sun too far, air too valuable, water hard to get there.
Plant make more air though.
True.
Water is a big thing though. I mean, so like the first book opens, the first chapter, they are ice haulers, right? Like they're space truckers, which I think is just such a novel thing.
On the Canterbury.
Exactly. And the Canterbury is this water hauler that goes to the asteroid belt, gets chunks of ice, like 10 trillion cubic or 10 trillion gallons, and like drags them back through space to a place where they can be melted down and used as, because water is used as water and then also oxygen, right?
And it's so specialized that the thing they use to haul the ice around is never designed to be in a gravity well. Like that ship will never land. Yeah, it just stays in space for its whole life. Yeah, which is cool. And that kind of came up on the Barbacola. Barbacola. That another word that I just didn't bother to fully read. I just categorized as it starts with B. It's kind of long. I know what it is. But anyway, that's another one that comes up later. Earth is the only place where things are easy to grow, and even though it's all a little fucked, it's home. It's where humanity came from, and it's
Yeah.
where life comes easy. But let's take a little break, and when we come back, we can continue with Mars, the Epstein Drive, and the Belters. Welcome back from the break, lore folk.
Whoa, who's this Martian I'm talking to here, huh? It's that nice Martian drawl. Well, hello there, lore folk. How y'all doing today, huh? Again, I don't know if that's Texan at all.
That sounds
It's what I
right.
got.
That sounds really right.
If only Pete
To
were here
me.
to be racist for us. God, you know? I wish. I miss him.
Being racist against Texans is a funny thing.
I mean, I bet you Texans talk about it more than anyone else. You know what I mean? Talk about
Yeah.
how persecuted they are more than anyone else on earth almost. So
I like Texas. Some of my best WoW friends are from Texas, and honestly, generally some pretty good people down there. What I've
absolutely.
seen.
Come on.
Yeah. So, where were we in the year 2350? So, 325 years in the future, Earth almost has an extinction event, but the government steps in, and there's still too many people, and half of them are poor.
Damn, I hate those guys.
Yep.
Worse than Texans. Poor people.
But we'll get to the Texans because they're also Martians and people from the outer planets named Belters. But we're going to start with the colony on Mars. So, Mars. Right now, we got people talking about going to it and settling on it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to settle on a planet that you cannot breathe on, that gets extremely cold, that gets extremely hot. So they send their, probably not at first, but once there's a foothold there, they send their best and brightest scientists and engineers. So,
of course. Wouldn't you? If you had one rocket to go, wouldn't you send all the Elon Musks of the world?
That would be fun to send him to Mars, yeah.
It'd be fun to strap him to a rocket and just send him wherever the fuck he wants to go, huh?
Yep.
You've been talking about it long enough. Just fucking do it, man.
Yeah. So to set up here, like they make domes and underground facilities. So if you looked at it from like a bird's eye view, there would be bubbles with like tubes going from bubble to bubble, as well as underneath the ground there would be rooms and things like that, which they just pump full of air, which they ship from other places.
Yeah. I mean, so I said it before, but the Mariner Valley, is that where they land? Do you know, is that where they land the first ships?
I'm not sure. That would make sense because all of the culture from like China and India and Texas are all mixed together. And like when you talk to a Martian, they might look Indian or Chinese and then speak with a Texas drawl. So it would make sense that that's where they sent the first people, because after enough generations, everyone would kind of.
I gotta tell you, James, you might talk to a Texan and they might look Chinese or Indian, you know. But
True.
it's wild, man. It's wild what the Chinese and Indians are doing to Texas right now. The Valles Marineris. I got some fun facts for you. The largest canyon in the solar system. Fun facts. It's 4,000 kilometers long, so like almost as long as
canyon.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, it's the meme of the scientist holding the green vial, and it's finally Grander Canyon, and it's the Mariner Valley on Mars. 200 kilometers wide and up to 7 kilometers deep, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, the peaks, and I mean Mars famously biggest mountain in the solar system too, right? Olympus Mons. So
I've been seeing one that they keep showing on, I think it's Jupiter, and it just is like straight up.
Well, Jupiter's a gas giant. So I don't think it'd be Jupiter.
No, it wouldn't be Jupiter, huh? Maybe it's a moon of Jupiter, like Io.
Maybe, yeah, that makes sense. When you say they've been showing it, who's they?
Oh, the algorithm people, the ones who are in my head.
Okay, Bill Gates.
Recently they've been showing me a lot of spooky real crime stuff, and then I had a nap and I had a nightmare today, and I was
just happened to Pete like 2 weeks ago. I feel like
I really gotta stop watching them. And then I went for a walk with my girlfriend, And everyone who crossed me on the street, I was like watching them. I'm like, there's murderers out there. You know?
My daughter's 2. She's turning 3 in a month, and we have a book for her, which is like Tomorrow You'll Be Brave, and like you read through it, and there's all these different things. And there's one scene where like the kid is scared of they have like a toy dinosaur on their dresser at night, and the moon is like casting a shadow on it, and the shadow looks
Ooh.
like a big scary monster, right? So I read that book to my daughter and said like, oh look, she's scared. She's scared of the shadow, but she doesn't need to be afraid because it's just her toy, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it was this morning, maybe yesterday morning, my wife woke her up and she said, "Oh, I saw the shadows last night, but then I put my heart blanket on me and I was okay," kind of thing. So
Aw.
I think she's just starting to get nightmares and like and dreams. Like I've asked her every morning
Cool.
for a long time, like, "Hey, did you have any dreams last night?" kind of thing, and tried to tell her like, "Oh, I had this dream. I had a dream the other day. I woke up like an hour before I normally wake up, dreaming that I was driving and I drove off a bridge and I was just like plummeting towards the water and I was like, well, this is fucking it. I'm dying. And like
Oh
that's where you wake
no.
up. So I woke up like an hour early. I was like, well, I'm just up now. Like I'm definitely not
Dude.
going back to sleep after that. But
Mine was so freaky. Like I've had the one that Saucy likes to remind me of I looked out my window because I'm in a basement. So like when I look out my window, I'm
old man.
like my head's just over the ground, right? And there's an
Yeah.
old man on all fours just staring at my window. This time there's rocks out there. There's not actually rocks out there, but there was just 4 people sitting in a semicircle looking at my window. And I was
Okay.
like, ah, and I closed it. And then
I
I
don't
went
like
into the
that.
bathroom and my bath mat I stepped on and there was a bunch of mice under there and I was squishing. I'm like,
Oh man.
ah. And then I went into my kitchen and there was a broom stuck through the floor and I pulled it out and there was a bunch of running water under my apartment, like a dirt river kind of thing under there. It was nasty. And,
That's so crazy, man.
and then I woke up and I was like, I gotta stop watching those scary reels, man. They're really
The
messing with my mind.
the metaphors in your dreams are so heavy-handed, man. You're just like like a stereotypical dreamer. I don't know how to describe it even, but you describe your dreams. I was like, man, like that's just like, yeah, you don't like people looking in your windows at you because you live in the city and there's no privacy. Like, oh
Yep.
yeah, there's mice under your carpet. Yeah, you live in a basement apartment. You have problems with rodents before.
Yep.
Oh, there's a plug in the bottom of your kitchen. You flooded it once because you left the sink on, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's just I love the direct ties to your life. I've never driven off a bridge, to my recollection.
Nope, but it could happen. I hope it doesn't. You
Uh-oh.
just you set up 3 other people outside of my apartment, start staring at me to get me back for saying that. All right, on to Mars. So we had the best and brightest out there. They're in the Grander Canyon. They're living in their domes, and they have the best and the brightest to set up Mars out there. So their technology actually surpasses Earth. Their tech is ahead by over a decade, the quote is. So they have the best space navy with newer and better ships. Like if you're getting into a dogfight in space, you want to be in a Mars ship.
Martian ship, yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
Martian ship.
the Rocinante is, of course,
Mhm.
famously a Martian warbird.
Yep, they have like stealth tech. They have better targeting systems. They have better AI to like help set up like trajectories for things and just calculate things. And Naomi, being one of the people on the ship, is very good at like changing the code on things so they can do whatever they.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, it comes up a lot that it's like best and the brightest, best tech versus, sorry, I'm burping a lot. Versus numbers on Earth, right? Like Earth has
yeah,
the bigger navy, but it's older and more bloated and more dated, and Mars has the very contemporary modern navy.
exactly. They're fewer people, stronger army. Earth, another thing it has going for them, more people. Also, an atmosphere is like pretty big. Like without Earth, they can't get all of the goods that they need. Like just to have a bag of like real tea to dip into your hot water. Like you rely on Earth a lot for those types of things, right? Because the plants that you're growing on Mars, if you can get things growing, are necessities. It's like food. It's like soybeans. It's corn. It's whatever you need to eat, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be the luxuries from Earth.
No, yeah, and I mean, so I mentioned the Mariner Valley, the Mariner Valley earlier because like they settle in the valley, so in that the solar system's largest canyon, but they are like they have the best technology, but they are also living like a hard life of carving out tunnels and living beneath the earth, and they're never going to see the sun. But they have obviously like it is a what's the word, terramorphing? It's like a terramorphing enterprise, right?
Terraforming. Yeah,
Terraforming, that's it.
that's their singular focus. Is Mars wants to terraform. They want to make an atmosphere so they can like flourish just like Earth. They want it to be a garden. They say it.
But
But
obviously
at
it
this
takes
point,
time, right?
yeah, and at this point, Mars is still under Earth's thumb. They are an Earth colony. It's not Earth and Mars. It's like Earth and then a Mars colony that is still Earth, right?
Yeah.
But the tensions start to build, and Mars can win in a firefight. And they're like, why don't we just fight our way out into freedom, right? Like, fuck Earth, right? In space war, like you don't even need the biggest nuke. You just have to drop a tungsten rod from orbit, and
Yeah.
it will basically cause a tsunami around the world if it lands in an ocean.
Yeah.
Which
It's talked about a lot, like grabbing an asteroid from the asteroid belt and like towing that to Earth is like mentioned, I think, a couple times, where it's like you just drop a big enough rock on a planet, any planet, and like you win. You know what I mean?
yep,
So like there's a lot of, especially in the early books, like talk of like mutually assured destruction and WMDs and like that the idea of that, I guess.
yep. But someone comes along that changes the course of history. Humanity might have wiped itself out by now, or
Thank
in the next
God
few
for
years.
Jeffrey Epstein. Am I right? Wait.
Solomon Epstein.
Oh, right. Wait, what did I say? No, wait, what did you say? Yeah, Solomon Epstein, of course.
Yeah, it's not an Epstein list. It's an Epstein drive, a thumb drive with all the names on there. The Epstein drive is something that Solomon Epstein creates that just changes space travel. The whole reason there are belters is because of the Epstein drive. Mars was as far as we went up until this point. Yeah. But a Martian man named Solomon Epstein, one of the best and brightest, he gets an Epstein drive running, which just means you can do long space travel with more efficient with fuel. And it's something called continuous acceleration.
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways to get gravity in space. One is like in 2001: A Space Odyssey when he's doing the laps running around the circle. It's you spin a drum.
Spin gravity.
Yeah. And if you've ever been on like at the carnival or whatever, you like have that big spaceship that spins and you get stuck to the wall.
The whirl-a-majig.
Yeah. That's the idea. It spins, and from your perspective, things aren't spinning. You're just there and you can walk and you're stuck to the ground.
The whirligig, not whirl-a-majig. It's called a whirligig.
A whirligig. So you can have space whirligig, or you can have continuous acceleration, which means like when you're in a car and you step on the gas and you feel yourself being pushed into the seat a bit. Well, imagine in space where there's no up, your floor just becomes wherever your thruster is, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in an office building, you would put the thruster right on the bottom of that office building, keep pushing it up as fast as you could so you would stick to the floor. And that's how all the ships are built. They're not built on their side. They're built as if they're straight up and the floor is down, right?
Yeah. And that was when earlier I was talking about like belters being susceptible to G's and stuff. It's like this drive putting all the ships are built, like you say, like skyscrapers, I guess. So that like the top of the skyscraper is the front of your ship, and it's accelerating that way, and your feet are on the floor, which is opposite of the direction of movement.
And the way that they move is they continuously accelerate, because you never, like when you're staying on the road and you're going 50 miles an hour for our Americans, or 80 kilometers an hour, whatever it is, right? Once you're at that speed, you're not getting pushed in your chair anymore. It's only the relativity of it. It's like if you're speeding up or you're slowing down. So they continuously speed up as they're going, always. So you feel the G, and you're under burn is what they call it. And then whenever you're getting close to arriving, the ship actually flips completely over and decelerates by thrusting in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Which also gives you gravity, right? Because your body wants to keep accelerating and the ship is slowing down. So it's half the journey is acceleration, then halfway through your trip for like long space flights, you go on the float, they call it, which is
Yeah.
while the ship has stopped accelerating and is slowly spinning around you, just so it can
Yeah.
reposition the thrusters on the front and then slow down and give you gravity, which will be in the same spot for you. No, on the opposite side. You'll be sitting on the ceiling, I guess.
Yeah. There's something interesting too that I didn't really know much about. I'd heard the term, but the Coriolis effect, which is like if you were in that drum that's spinning, what if you were to go right through the middle where gravity flips on you? And it's very disorienting because since gravity's like it's a circle, and from the middle of the circle, gravity's pointing out in every direction. If you pass through the center of the circle, your gravity will flip all,
Yeah.
and it'll mess you up. You might puke in your suit. But Solomon Epstein kind of has a poetic end, though. I don't know if you remember how he dies, but it's to
I
his
don't think I do. Yeah.
it's to his own invention. So he makes the first Epstein drive, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna test it out. I'm hopping in the ship, and he goes and he puts it on, but no one's ever had this kind of power.
Right.
So he accelerates so much that he kills himself.
Okay.
And
Classic.
if you look up with a telescope in the sky, you can still see the burn from
Still see his plume.
ship
His
going
drive
out.
plume. Yeah.
And he's just paced on a floor, speeding away towards nothing in particular. He,
Beautiful.
he changed the world forever. Probably saved us from mutually assured destruction because Mars got the schematics somehow for the Epstein drive and shared them with Earth in exchange for Mars independence.
There you
You can
go.
go fast too. Don't have to fight over what we got. Let's just both travel
our
the
own
universe.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have
let's go to the outer planet, pass the belt. We'll drop some children there, and then we can all bully them in the future. Okay. We don't need to
exactly.
bully each other.
They'll look so different. We can have space racism. Great.
Finally, if only Pete were here. God, he would love this.
So now we have heavily populated Earth, bloated, but still the only true foothold for natural life. We have Mars winning the tech race, military superpower. They're trying to terraform themselves. That's what their main focus is. And they're willing to work with Earth as long as they can make their own place in the world. But now, thanks to the Epstein drive, humanity could travel further into the solar system. That's where the Outer Planet Alliance ends up being formed and where the Belters live in the asteroid. So let's move on to the Belters. Yeah, there's a few different places Belters live. There's some who live on Ganymede, who actually have a little bit of a gravity, but not very much, very low gravity. There's some who are on Ceres, which is like a dwarf planet that there's a space station and it spins to be 1/3 G. So most of them grow up in 1/3 G. They spend most of their lives in spacesuits, so much so that they're like when I'm talking to you, and if I want to show to you with my body language that I'm listening, I might nod or I might like make eye contact and things.
I just nodded to you to agree with that, to show that I was listening. I completely caught myself doing that. Amazing. Whereas I should have done this, right?
Yeah.
Right, listener?
They have like hand signals to signify these things because you wouldn't see a nod in a spacesuit. So they'll do things like punch their hands together or do different hand signals. Ethan's double-handed the broom in my kitchen right now.
Yeah, they don't just have hand signals, but like they culturally, like as a replacement for nodding your head, they would nod their hands. Like as I'm looking at myself in the webcam now and realizing like I'm nodding my head to emphasize the words that I say, but they would do that with their hands because, like you say, like you couldn't see that as well in a spacesuit or maybe at all in a spacesuit. So they've developed like a completely different like language or I guess like mannerisms to your language. I don't know what you would call like nodding your head when you speak. Is that
body
like
language, I guess?
Body language. They've created their own body language, which involves hand signals rather than head signals.
They even have their own language, which is like
Belter Creole, it's called.
Yeah, Belter Creole, which the authors actually talked to linguists about this to combine. Yeah, they combined French, English, and Spanish, I believe, are the three where they would just take words and then just like kind of alter them a bit. And if
Yeah.
you know French and English and a little bit of Spanish, like sometimes when I read them, I'm like, oh, this is trying to be this word for French, right? Or this
Yeah.
is like they'll say sa, or they'll say like different things like that.
Sasa
But
being, which I would recognize as ça va from French, right? If
yeah,
I were an purely Anglo, I'd be like, what? Huh?
exactly.
Sasa, you
But
call me a sissy? That's Texan. I found Texan now, finally.
it's to the point where if you go to like on the series station and someone's lived a few generations there, you might not understand them at all though. Like it's the Creole is like so far
Well, just like
what
real
our language is.
Creole, right? Like if someone was speaking to me in real Creole, I wouldn't get it either. I mean,
Nope.
same goes for like a lot of Frenches. Like I'm playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33,
Mhm.
and just the Parisian French, accent, that fake French that they speak over in
Yep.
France.
Yep.
I would say it makes it difficult for me to understand the words sometimes.
Quebecois French is I've heard is like the Scottish is to English as Quebecois is to French.
There you go.
Yeah.
Quebecois people will love to tell you that actually it's the truer form of French, just like fucking Americans and Canadians love to tell you that actually our English is closer to the true English, which doesn't make any sense, guys. Come on, think about it. Think about it for 5 seconds. But after you read that Reddit headline, like it doesn't make any sense. Come on,
Not only
they're
is the
they're
language
they're both as diverted. They're both just diverted hugely from the original.
Yeah. I mean, we're all just trying to communicate and it all comes out in different ways at this
I'm
point.
not.
No, no. I
No,
don't tip, I don't communicate.
I'm trying to stop communication. Overall, that was the end goal for my podcast, was to communicate so dumbly and so poorly that everyone was like, you know what, this was a mistake. Let's go back to
We're doing good.
grunts.
We're doing good,
I
honestly.
think we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're making
Yeah.
real headway here.
So not only is the language different, the body language different, their physiology is different. They have bigger heads.
Mhm.
They're taller. They're like two. It says in the book 2 to 2.5 meters, which is like 7.5 feet or something like that. 7 to 7.5 feet.
Two is not 7.5, I don't think. So 180 is 6 feet. 180 centimeters, 6 feet. So another 20 centimeters is most of a foot. So yeah, like 6'8" plus.
Okay.
6'8" plus is the lower. Peter would be 6'8" if he was a belter. If you could imagine such a thing, right?
With a big old head on him. He's got the big head already.
He's got the big head. Yeah, he's got the gangly proportions already. Just not the
They
height.
have long limbs and larger heads because they're born in low gravity. So they don't like we're short and stout and strong. Just to be able to go,
Gravity's always keeping us down, man.
yeah,
You're
making
taller in
us
the
dense.
morning than you are at night, right?
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of space racism between the groups. So people in gravity wells call the Belters skinnies. The Belters will call people in gravity wells another slur. There's a lot of animosity between the two because the Belt does so much of the work. They're hauling asteroids. They like could barely breathe. They don't have enough air to breathe. And then Earth and Mars still like put a bunch of taxes and tariffs on water, air, and food just to make money. They charge like exorbitant fees just to dock
doesn't
in these
sound like
places.
people. Come on, really? After a whole kumbaya, after a near extinction event on Earth, we're gonna be acting like this? I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
They play things a lot fast, like a lot more fast and loose out there too. Like there's something if you can get airlocked, which is where they just throw you out into space if they don't like what you're doing.
It's very reminiscent of, and I'm sure Steven Erikson with the Malazan series was not the first one to do this, but like there's a lot of talk in the Malazan books about like killing your commanding officers, because like it's told from the point of view of the Marines. Like I say, I'm sure he didn't originate this, but for me that's what it was originated with. But it's the same vibe where it's just like, hey, if someone is compromising the integrity of the unit, they die. Like that's just the way it is with the Belt. Because I mean they are living in the most hostile imaginable environment, right? Like they cannot survive otherwise. So
Air
like you
is
don't,
worth more than any valuable metal up there. Like
yeah.
it's very hard to come by. Just the basic things
We
to live.
That's it. We talk about we mentioned earlier the like, oh, this idea of like, oh, Earth and Mars like threatening each other with like WMDs and like being like, well, we can just drop a rock on your planet. That's not like that is more a threat from the Belters, not to the Belters, because the Belters are like super spaced out, and like a lot of them are like would be fine just living on a ship for the rest of their
Yeah.
life, you know, and they're very piecemeal. But the one thing that like the Belters truly believe is like you don't fuck with environmental controls, right? Like
Yeah.
if like when you say like people getting spaced, like it's you don't compromise the environmental controls because that kills everyone, right? So it's just that you do not do this kind of thing.
In the very first episode, I've only watched the first episode of the series. That's I think it's owned by Amazon now, because Jeff Bezos loves this series. So it was originally made by for the first 3 seasons were made by a company, and then it went off the air, and then Amazon picked it up to finish the final 3 seasons.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was
Uh,
Sci-Fi for the first three, and then it was Amazon Prime Video for the last three.
yeah.
Oh, very good things. I'll watch it one of these days.
Yeah, I have it right here, and I'm waiting to watch it when I finish the season 6. Or sorry, the book 6, so I don't spoil it for myself.
Jamie just held up a certificate to the camera which said, "I own Prime Video." It was pretty
So
cool.
I do have Prime Video. You can't get the seasons right now in Canada. Like
Oh,
there's so
okay.
many hoops you have to
Never
jump
mind, I'm
through to
pirating
watch.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
I was
Yeah.
always gonna, but I'll do it. You know what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so speaking of like spacing someone or like throwing them out to space because of messing with air or water or food, the very first season, like the very first episode, you meet Detective Miller, who's a pretty big character throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes a landlord in the series station who will not replace the air filters, and he throws him into the airlock and like holds his finger over the button, like, give them a new air filter. I told you twice already.
Yeah,
And next time I'm pressing the button.
and he's a cop, and that's how you know it's fiction. Is that cops are doing like maybe morally gray or even ethically incorrect things. But yeah, he's like a down on his luck hired cop who's seen too much of this shit. Very like noir detective, I think,
Yeah.
right?
If cops were threatening landlords to help disenfranchised people, I think I'd
Oh
be a little
god,
more
so
okay
based,
with
man.
that.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Um, yeah, he's great. Actually, like I heard this, I'm not sure if it's true, but since there's 2 authors, and the first book really hops back between James Holden and Detective Miller. Also resonated with me a lot as a James Miller, going back and forth between the James and a Miller. That was nice for me. I could really put myself in each of their shoes.
Yeah.
But I heard that.
I knew how to pronounce these words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Um, that each one of the authors took, like one wrote all the Holden chapters and one wrote all the Miller chapters, and they went back and forth, which would be
Yeah,
super.
which how it started, but then yeah, I think the first book was it just Holden and Miller? I think so, eh?
I can't
Uh,
remember. I
I
could go
think
grab my
so.
Kindle.
I can't imagine who else it would have been in the first book, but then they expand to like more characters and becomes more traditional. They clearly like I think the authors clearly found their like tempo writing with each other and said like, "Okay, cool." But I still assume that I mean they write in a very similar voice, so it's not
Yeah,
like jarring. I don't know how much of that is in editing. They like make it one voice if like they both write their chapters, then one guy rewrites all the other guys' chapters to make them sound the same, but they do a good job of making it sound the same.
yeah, they do. They jump back and forth between characters. I audibly gasped last night when I was reading because I'm on book 5 and I got my first Alex chapter, which is the pilot that's been
Yeah.
with us since the very beginning. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what? We get a point of view from Alex now, which is
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot
the
more
India
of them
Goat
too.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very good. I got so much reading done this week. I think I like in 2 days I read like half the book because I took a little break from like just drinking and like playing at my computer. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit down and read. I read
Oh yeah,
so
it's
much.
huge. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm kind of bummed because it's the end of August, which means like the summer's almost over, which bumps me
yeah.
out every single year. But I'm genuinely excited because last year I discovered baths, and I love sitting in the bath with like a beer or a wine and reading. Like it's such
Yeah,
an enjoyable way for me to spend my time. Like every night I would take a bath and read for an hour basically. And
that's
it's great.
nice.
It's great for the
That's
brain.
Yep, it's better than all the horror reels that I've been watching, giving me nightmares. I just sleep a lot better when I read my space book. Um, although I did have a dream that. Oh no, that was after I played Mass Effect. No, that's fine. Okay, back to Outer Planets. Heavy taxes, tariffs on water. But they're kind of disorganized. There's like a lot of pirates out there. There's like criminals. It's the wild, wild west. Like there's no government. Earth and Mars are trying to do what they can up there, but it's so far from home. Like how could you govern something that takes like days of burning in a ship or months to go back and forth?
Takes minutes to hours of time to send a message, right? If you're sending a
Communication delay.
Slack message, like the light delay is quite significant, right? What's the light
Yeah,
delay to Jupiter? You want to take a
it's
guess? We
from
should know it because we both
us
read the books and they've said it
from
multiple times.
us to the sun is 7 minutes. So from us to I don't actually know if that helps me at all.
I love that you were going through the motions. I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know how much further or closer Jupiter is than the sun.
I'll say double. I'll say 14 minutes.
33 to 54 minutes to
Okay.
Jupiter. So depending on orbits, right? If we're on this side of the sun and Jupiter's on that side of the sun, then it's 54. If we're both on the same side, then it's 33.
Right. Yeah, there's so many details in the book that are just like really great. Like at one point someone gets like shot in low G and they're losing a lot of blood in zero G, sorry. And rather than the blood flowing down like you would think, it just bubbles up at the source of the wound, which is cool. The physiology of the belters is cool. To being in orbit of a planet and you have enemies that are also in orbit, there's dead zones that happen because you're both passing, like the planet will be in between you sometimes.
Yeah.
So they can't scan you with their like targeting lasers when they're on the other side of the planet. So there's kind of like these dark zones and these rest points in between like conflict, which I wouldn't have thought of. But yeah, a lot of really cool like small details that really bring it to life.
Yeah, I think the science of the science fiction is cool in The Expanse.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that really resonates with me too. Is like, oh damn, it feels cool to read.
Yeah. Yeah, an Earther named Fred Johnson, he sees like all these people just fighting amongst themselves, right? And he sees that they have a voice, and he also has his own issues with Earth and Mars because I could do a whole episode on Fred Johnson at one point. There's a side story, like a short story of him and how he takes over a station and he's the first one to do it. He's a really impressive man from Earth who goes out and forms the Outer Planets Alliance. So groups all these people together in the belt. And at first, when you start the story, he kind of has a seat at the table in politics as a whole. But as time progresses, he really builds an organization where OPA like has a voice and has a say in which way humanity goes. So pretty cool guy.
Yeah, I mean the OPA, the split circle tattoo, right? And I mean, I think I assume you're going to talk about it, but yeah, he was the butcher of Anderson Station, as he's known. Was an Earther, killed a bunch of Belters, and then realized like, this is fucked up. I shouldn't do this, and then became the unifier of the belt in a lot of ways. But even as the unifier of the belt never really unifies. Like they're always a collective. They're always pretty disparate. And there's always factions that are like, nah, we're OPA, but we're not his OPA, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like as your borders keep expanding, it becomes harder to govern, right? And like the Outer Planets Alliance, just as the series progresses, even from I'm sure by the time I'm where you're at, it even gets bigger and bigger. But like the world that we're living in just keeps getting bigger, and Fred Johnson just keeps defining as anything that's not Earth or Mars is OPA, and he wants to keep expanding, right? It's the outer planets. Every planet.
He throws everyone under his umbrella, which I think it works. I think he does a good job, an admirable job, if you will.
Yeah. So in the Expanse, that's our factions. We have Earth, home planet. You can get like the good luxuries there. It's way overpopulated. It's bloated. It's bureaucratic. It's a tough place to live, but also kind of an easy place to live. Like you will stay alive, although there's a lot of like social pressures, all these things. Mars, hostile environment, ton of smart people. They're ahead of the curve. Tech's going crazy style. And then OPA is all the pirates and these long, big-headed people who aren't resent Earth and Mars for keeping them under their thumb. Like if they had access to all of the wealth they were creating, they would have all the air to breathe in the world, you know? But
Yeah,
they just don't.
exactly.
Yeah.
When you think about like the number of resources like on Earth, like we've all read the Pop Science like magazine article about like here's a rock that's flying through space that's $200 trillion of gold, just
Yeah.
flying through space kind of thing. So that's kind of their thing. It's like, well, if we just like if the structure of capitalism was set up so that like we the pioneers, because they're very much like frontiersmen, right?
Yep.
Had the ability to access that wealth, then we'd be set off, which I think is like a trope in science fiction, but like a good one, a good and fine one, right? Like,
Yep. Um, and I'm not going to spoil, but you kind of come across like more and more technology, more newer and newer frontiers, like as things go. And it seems like no matter how much humanity progresses, we still end up being painfully human.
ooga
Uh,
booga,
yeah, we bicker
me
over
monkey.
ownership. We race to stick our flag in a hill, even if it means killing each other. Like just to have ownership over a new planet. Like everyone almost kills everyone. Uh,
Yeah,
Humans tend to be very short-sighted. And from reading the 4 books, it just keeps happening this way. Luckily, we
I
have
mean,
our
yeah, like
yeah,
we're talking 350 years in the future, right? Like flash in the
yep,
pan in terms of
yep,
evolutionary scale. So our problem is monkey brain got too big too fast. Huh?
yeah. And just to give you a scale of the time, like I won't say what happens then, but the history of this book starts 2 billion years ago.
Yeah,
So we are so new in all of this, and we start stumbling into newer and newer things, or older and older things, and just keep showing that we're monkeys. Like
I,
there's things like that your lizard brain, like people who grew up in a gravity well, have a really hard time in 0G. They have to imagine one wall is the floor at all times just to make sense of the world.
yeah,
And then belters, conversely, if they're in a gravity well and they step outside, they can't look at the sky. It's overwhelming.
because they're like,
It's
what if gravity changes and we need to go that way? Then
yeah,
what do I do? Where to handhold at?
yeah. So we're just humans out there, but luckily we have our idealist protagonist James Holden and his tight knit crew on the Rocinante, if I'm saying that right, to
Yeah, you
navigate
nailed it.
things.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it.
Great.
Rocinante with Arasavala and all the rest, James Hodlin, uh, Detective Limmer, and all the rest.
Yeah. That's been an introductory episode into the Expanse. I'm really excited for the Owlcat game. You do get to choose, like, of these 3 factions that I've told you, you get to choose where you're from. So you can kind of pick your backstory that way. Do you want to be a Mars military man? Do you want to be someone who came off of Earth and they know what it's to be there? Do you want to
I
be
want to be a guy,
a,
or an earther, living on basic, just jacking off all day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
No motivations, no aspirations, no nothing. Just, hey, government, give me my goon money and I'm good. Thank you. Okay.
dude, we might be able to make that happen in real life.
You can get me, set up to goon, my guy.
I think so. I think so. We don't
Okay.
have to play a game
And you're
for
saying
that.
all I got to do is give up on all my aspirations? Easy, man. What the hell? I'm in. This is incredible. What an incredible
Yep.
day for me, honestly.
Well, I've been James Miller. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/loreboyjames. Today's Wednesday. Silk Song comes out tomorrow. I'll be playing come Thursday, 7 p.m. EST. Come watch Silk Song. I'll play for the first time. You can see me die many times and be bad at the game until I get
Yeah.
good.
If you're like Peter and you don't like playing Silk Song, but you like the game, check out Jamie. He'll be playing it for you on your behalf. I'll
Yep,
also be playing
tomorrow.
it, but not on stream.
Mhm.
So get wrecked, nerds. Check out our Instagram, Lore Boys Podcast on Instagram. And send Pete some messages. Send Pete some messages about how expansive his mom is. I think. No, don't do that. That's rude, right? Is that too rude? It's funny when Jamie and I do it. It's not funny when you guys do it, I guess.
No,
But I
I
can't
don't
help
think
myself
so.
sometimes.
I remember
Um,
someone joined the Discord back whenever you used to like you guys used to pick on me a lot more. I feel like
uh-huh.
I've kind of grown a little bit out of that. It still happens, but I felt like I was a shooting. I was like a target dummy. And someone came into the Discord and they just started talking to me like that. And I was like, fuck this
What the fuck?
guy.
No.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. You mean
It's not okay.
me to my friends. You can't be me to my friends, okay? Fuck you,
Yeah,
man. I'm absolutely on your side in this.
yeah.
And the reason we stopped picking on you, because I'm still a bully. I've always been a bully. The only logic I can think of is that you grew and stopped taking it personally. And so then I said, "Oh, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not hurting him." So I'm gonna move on. And I hate that about myself, but it is who I am. You know what I mean? At a certain point, you got to accept who you are. So,
And maybe that made me a stronger person in the end. It's also
well,
valid.
I love to tell myself that at night for sure. If you want to support my bullying of Jamie, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys. We got a couple tiers. We got some bonus content. We got all sorts of good stuff. Check it out. It's good. If you want to support the show and you don't trust Patreon, we have Lore Boys Prime service, which we always offered, which obviously we're trying to set me up with that goon life lifestyle. So please send your right into your government, whomever your government might be. Statistically speaking, just looking at our listener base, it's probably the American government.
Mhm.
They don't seem like they're keeping good tabs on what's going on these days. Apply for welfare or your nation's equivalent, collect that
Yep.
money and send it to me so I can live on basic and fulfill my gooning aspirations. All
Put us
right.
on basic so we can jerk it, please.
Please, 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 we need this. You guys don't understand. We will stop doing the show, of course, because we're gonna be full-time gooning. We won't have time for the show, the podcast, of course, but
We just have to fulfill the expense, which is enough money so we can goon all the time.
yeah, that's it. I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy life, okay? I want it to be hard. I think that would constitute a Lore
Look,
Boys out.
uh,